T minus 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another very classic episode of the Midheaven Podcast with your Mercury Pluto combo. Black, white, yin yang.
That is us. We're back. We are back with another one. Thank you for joining us. We are coming off of having done our most recent episode, which was pretty popular. I think
The
it's
controversial topic.
the ludicrous. Well, yeah, the controversial one, and then the ludicrous Libra season.
So Libra season came after that one.
Yes, actually, remember we started talking about the Libra season, and we kind of like prefaced it with the full moon in Pisces, which we just had, and we're coming off of, and it's exactly what we thought it was going to be. And I thought it would be fun and just super timely while we are in the very beginning process of Mercury in Libra coming into the square with Pluto and the setup for this impending Mercury retrograde, to really break it down, talk to you guys about what to expect, what may come about, predictions that we have, how it's going to affect, obviously, the world, but how it might affect you on a more personal level, some tips and tricks for Mercury retrograde, how to work with it, all that goodness. You're an ambassador for Mercury, so...
I never thought I'd ever have to prepare for a Mercury retrograde.
Okay, so it's not just me that's like shitting my pants over it.
No, it's
okay, because it's like it's the square starting now, and it's going to be like 2 weeks that Mercury will be in a square to Pluto, because it gets all the way up to 25 degrees of Libra, and we'll kind of break down like the themes archetypally of like that square and
I've been dreading it too, like events closer to those days. I'm like, oh shit, it's going down like that. It's like maybe between you and a significant partner, or like you and your family or friends, like
oh yeah, it's hitting your moon.
Oh, it is, exactly. So that's why for me it's with my mother and my family, but like it's like an unavoidable point where you're gonna have to express, you, and it's like a court date, or like you know what I mean? Like you have to make a decision, and it's gonna impact the state of things moving forward. So.
I've been thinking about it a lot on a personal level, because I kind of feel like as astrologers we have to be like super prepared. And almost like in some weird way, this stuff hits me earlier. And part of it's awareness. Like if you're aware of the omens that come from the planets.
Or if you have like an idea.
Yeah, and you start working through it. Like it
like
gets,
if you know it's about to rain, you're going to probably bring like an umbrella.
Right. And it helps me because I look at things now like when things get delayed, or when there's arguments or things go sideways. I'm like, okay, I knew this was like part of the course, but this one's super gnarly. So let's just talk a little bit about the difference archetypally between Libra and Capricorn, or the 7th house and the 10th house, or Venus versus Saturn. Like, how do you see that square manifesting just in an archetypal sense?
It's one of my favorite squares in all of astrology, because it
really?
It's so symbolic.
The Venus-Saturn square?
Yeah. Okay, just with Venus-Saturn alone, it's like the power of beauty and like charm will seduce even the most powerful people. Because Capricorn is the most powerful zodiac sign, and the only zodiac sign it looks up to, because you look up to whatever's in your 10th house. Right. It's Libra, right? So it's like Capricorn is the authority to send police officers to arrest you right now. But Libra is the court of law where your judgment is passed. And it's like Capricorn exalts that social energy. People who are the most powerful exalt relationships. Capricorn is going to be so much more like finicky about who they're seen with. But
Saturn also loves Libra. Or Venus, I should say. Venus. Saturn's exalted
they're going steady
in Libra, but But Saturn does love Venus. Like, there is, like, something to be said about that. People who have, like, Venus-Saturn contacts in a natal chart may disagree with me, but Saturn genuinely does love Venus. And so there is the sense of, like, responsibility and commitment and stability and authority and upholding something when it comes to the relationship between Saturn and Venus. But when I think about squares and the energy of squares, and that it's got almost this vibe of Mars, right? It's the pressure cooker that pressures you to
It like
to
sets
act.
it off too.
Yeah. So you're already dealing with themes like relationship challenges and long-term goals, legal stuff, and force or police task force, or what rules or regulations are going to be upheld by the government, by police officers, by big business. So you're kind of getting a theme of already that friction. But when then you add in the aspect of Mercury, the mind, the communicator, messages, the text we write, the way that we think, our tone, how we communicate, how we do business. When Mercury has a very intense conversation with Pluto, there is like mental games, jealousy, there can be snooping, there can be
outright manipulation.
Oh yeah,
and just
unearthing things.
Well, the best part about this and what you're saying is the last time we went through this was last year during the elections.
Yep.
Mercury had actually just come out of its retrograde and then squared Saturn, Pluto, and Jupiter. So that was one of the most significant astrology to me, because it shows you right there why later, because we know Mercury retrograde applies to tech mishaps and glitches.
Yeah.
So then you're hearing allegations come out that the machines, which the elections perfectly to me teach that square. And that day is so symbolic because you have Mercury in Libra, which is everybody meeting in a social environment to make a Capricorn decision that's fated to, of course.
But it was fixed squares too. So the retrograde was in Scorpio. I know, because there's been a couple of them the last 2 years. The retrograde was in Scorpio.
Yeah,
and
that year.
It squared Saturn.
Oh, you're right. Yeah,
and Aquarius. So it was.
That's crazy.
It was carrying out shit that was already predetermined.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
That's very true. That's very
already
true.
set in motion. So
it was already planned. Right.
So it was a lot of like, well, it doesn't matter what the votes say. You can do the recounts, but the
see, that's the
reality
thing, because
is,
like to even make that allegation or claim that at such a widespread level, stuff could be manipulated at that level.
Yeah.
Mercury would have to be squaring Saturn and Pluto and Jupiter for measure to expand. Oh, but it was.
Yeah, and it was a
directly too. Like as it
was
comes,
an
that's
inside
crazy.
job on a Capricorn level, and go figure.
On a moon in Cancer,
it dealt
gaslighting.
with Saturn in Aquarius, which is a sitting president, and the Mercury retrograde in Scorpio, which was about perhaps maybe a Scorpio knowing that this was coming.
12th house to the nation's chart and his chart.
Yeah. So
accused of running a crime family by Rudy Giuliani, who has Saturn in the 10th house on Uranus and the Sun in Gemini. So it's not like he's lying because he's an authority. But it is what it is. It's a mystery, and it's very exciting. You have to enjoy the show.
I like how you're like the world's about to be on fire, and you're like getting some popcorn.
Right.
It's the astrology, and I don't really like say this because I don't want to be like a fear monger, but it's like I look at the astro for the rest of the year, and it's just a fucking dumpster fire. Like it's
that continues
gonna get
that progressively and
globally.
exponentially
It might get,
too.
for
Just
some
like,
people who might say, you know,
crazy.
I've got planets in the late degrees of Capricorn, or I've got planets in the late degrees of air signs, and I'm loving this. Yeah, because I feel like air signs are really going to do well, especially the later degrees of the air signs, because of the aspects to Jupiter and Aquarius.
Oh, you're right.
And they're like, fuck yeah, revolution. And then you've got also the trines from Mars to Saturn. So those Geminis and those Libras are like, let's fuck it, let's have at it. Like, so part of me is kind of excited because I feel like there's something like super... There's like some catharsis that's going to come from digging up all this shit. Pluto is subterranean secrets and all of these things. But
it'll be retrograde too when it
all planets are getting ready to go.
Direct,
All 4 planets are going
Libra,
direct
yeah.
in October. What is it? It's Pluto, Jupiter, Mercury, Uranus?
I know, no, Uranus, I don't think
No.
so. Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto, and Mercury.
Mercury,
for sure.
okay.
Which is,
So I think Uranus starts it goes direct in what, November, December? It's later in the year,
later in
I
the
think.
year, yeah, because they're gonna have the full moon. Like you're right though. Listen, every transit, like you said after this, is legitimately insane. Scorpio season, and it's insane. Like every single month, and it's gonna kind of be your experience too,
Right.
coming more serious. You're more jarred on what happens next, which is one thing, but like it's even crazier because if you think of everything that's happening now like a season series, like characters that have been established in your life, and you're so used to seeing the show.
All the villains
and,
are about to come out around Christmas time.
and now we're at the series finale, where all the planets, if we look at it like the outer planets coming out of Pisces, it's like now all the things you're used to seeing since a child, it's all leaving. Like it's all done. Everything's getting ready to like reset and recalibrate, and it's just like.
So I see 2 sides of this, and we didn't get too deep into the Mercury aspects in the Libra video. We were just kind of like, oh shit, the sun's gonna
Kinda
move
just
with
mentioned it.
Mars. We were just kind of like, oh yeah, and then there's this retrograde.
Right. That's
And the
so
more
true.
that I looked at it, I went, okay, on one hand, Mercury is going to square Pluto from Libra to Capricorn. We are going to see a lot of people who are going to tell their bosses to go fuck themselves. Fuck the man.
That is so true.
Fuck their schedule. A lot of people are going to be like, fuck this, I'm getting divorced. A lot of people are going to be done. And they're going to feel like they're at a point where they're no longer willing to subject themselves to relationships or situations.
Like pressure that built up too, and then it like releases.
Bingo. That's a good point.
Right.
Because that's what the
Retrograde.
square is that
Yeah.
it's a pressure point. But
Right.
Mercury square Pluto for me also a lot is about uncovering truth.
Yeah, that's true.
Truth.
Well, see, that's why that's so symbolic, because and let me know what you think about this, because the last time this square happened, this was some of the biggest suppression of truth we've ever seen in a
Bingo.
while. But hold on, let me not even say that. You're 100% right, because immediately following that, all sorts of truth came out, but it all got censored, square. So this time we have Jupiter trying to
Right, that's what I was gonna say.
So
yeah.
what do you think
I
about
think there's
that?
a bunch of keyboard warriors on the internet right now that are basically doing nothing but blasting shit, who are being called conspiracy theorists.
You are the true revolutionary.
Yeah, and we're gonna find that a lot of the stuff that people are like, that's crazy, the government wouldn't do that, or like, there's no way that he's cheating on you,
A
or
meme
like,
will end World War III. Tell you.
or
If there.
legal stuff that people are like, no, it'll be overturned or it'll be fine, we have rights, and people are gonna look around and go, is this fucking really happening?
Right.
And so I think that I have some interesting dates. I have some notes because I put some of this stuff out in one of my, I think it was in my weekly video. So the first square that's going to happen is going to be right around
With
the
Mercury?
22nd. So it's tomorrow. Today's the 21st. So it's going to be tomorrow. It's like it's a couple minutes away from happening right now. So it'll be interesting to come back to this video even and see what people have to say about some of the predictions that we make. So the first square is now, obviously with a retrograde, from our perspective, the planet slows down, it goes backwards. It's not, it's just the way that it's spinning slows down compared to our rotation. And a planet will come back and cross back over the degrees that it has already been through. So specifically, this retrograde will be from about 10 degrees of Libra through 25 degrees of Libra. So we've been in the retrograde shadow for 2 weeks. There have been things that have been building. When it retrogrades back to this same spot, once the retrograde has started, I think around the 26th, around September 30th later this week, you're going to see that it'll come back again. So I looked at it and I was like, holy shit, like 2 weeks of Pluto Mercury squares. 2 weeks before it starts to break. And at that point in time, when it starts to break, we'll get into October. The Sun and Mars come together and they'll meet with Mercury. We talked about that in our last video. So it's like we take action around the 8th. The retrograde ends around October 18th, but we are not out of the shadow until November the 3rd.
No way. That's just gonna be like...
Information's trying to get out. It wants to get out. And it can be like those really difficult, scary conversations that need to be had.
It's difficult conversations,
well,
for sure.
It's all relationship stuff. It's all relationship stuff. That's the thing that's really crazy.
Or decisions that will impact the relationship through false ultimatums. Like, if you don't do this, then you can't do this. Or if you do this, then you can't come back to this home, or some crazy stuff like that. Which isn't... The crazy thing is that you would think that's bad, but...
No, it's boundaries is the Capricorn
theme, right?
Pluto theme, but it's manipulation, it's power plays.
But anything that would like collapse needed to at that point too. Like,
the difficult thing is also
blessing in disguise.
When this is happening, you know, the sun's about to go into Libra as we speak, so we're on the heels of, you know, getting ready to... We're off this full moon. We're coming into the fall equinox. But as soon as the sun is in Libra in the next 24 hours, Venus runs the show. So right around the day that Mercury is squaring Pluto, Venus opposes Uranus. And I'm wondering, what is that going to be? Is that going to be a crackdown with crypto? Is it going to be some huge disruption in the markets? Is it going to be the radical change that you make in the relationship and like kind of pull the rug out from things? So it tells me that there's a lot of like values changing. Thank God for the trine, I think, to Jupiter. That's the saving grace in all of this, is that Jupiter's holding the flame for the future, where we're going in the future. If you got to think about the future, where do you want to be in the future next year or collectively over the next 2 years?
Could you imagine if we didn't have the trine? There would probably be some like manipulative, behind the scenes, collective wide action to last year. Thank God for the trine.
It's also the truth, though. I see Jupiter being about the truth, the higher moral ground. So a lot of it is like I don't want to come clean and tell the truth, but I know that I have to, right?
Or for the greater good.
Or for the
not
greater
even because
good.
they care, but maybe there'd be a worse consequence if they didn't, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know what? I made a very bold prediction in my transit talk about Mars, and I was convinced that before or by the time it goes into Scorpio, the world will be involved in war.
We already are. I think we already are.
We're at war. We're at war now.
We're at war now.
Already. But like the traditional
right
sense of war, where it has to come on the news and it's like,
I'm waiting for Mars to cross the South Node. I think that when Mars gets into Sag and it comes into conjunction with the South Node and it activates where we have had these eclipses around 5 degrees of Sag and also like 19 degrees of Gemini.
That way you'll actually see it too.
That's when it's going to begin. But then you're going to really see it in Sag season, and then it's like, boom, we've got another eclipse. We've got another Sag eclipse.
And to speak on Jesus Christ, and to speak on the Venus opposition you were talking about, that's not only wild to me, that we're eventually going to have a new moon, or a new moon opposite Uranus. So
yes, we will.
That might preface whatever that new moon is.
Yeah, we're going to have that. We also, we talked about this in our video, but the sun moves with Mars for really the first 2 weeks of October, which is in detriment, right? Or in fall, I guess technically. You've got Mars.
Detriment.
Detriment. Mars, but Sun in Libra. So
the sun is in its fall.
It's moving together.
So it's like a fall detriment.
It wants us to work towards relationships, partnerships.
Detriment fall.
Yeah. It's a double negative. That's all you need to know, kids. But then things might seem kind of heated in the midst of like the squares to Pluto in mid to the end of October, but it's almost like it'll cool off a little bit, but then it comes back with vengeance.
Literal vengeance.
You see that in a very big way at the beginning of November.
I'm going to remember your words because I think it's going to be literal vengeance. Like, you got me before, but like now I came back. You tried to shut me down, but now I got more facts. Boo, boo. I feel like it's like the biggest debate of your life is like it's like having arguments with people, but now this time it's like the full-on argument. You ever had like an argument with someone and like you always agree to disagree, but this time like you're not gonna agree to disagree.
You better
like,
hope you're having arguments with people.
You're gonna go through it. You're gonna do it.
You want to be having these hash outs before the end of October, though, because anything after the 22nd of October, the Sun and fucking Mars move into Scorpio. And, like, that's not something you want to play with. Like, it's one thing to have Sun, Mars, and Libra where it's like, you know, it kind of pisses me off when you do that. Please don't do that anymore. But as soon as the Sun and Mars go into Scorpio, it starts bumping up into a square with Saturn. It's going to come into an opposition with Uranus. And it's going to be people that are going to be like, I'll fucking cut you.
But that's the thing. I think what you basically
diplomacy is there is no real diplomacy
after Libra's gone too. I think what you described though is inevitable. Like it's gonna start there, and then it's gonna intensify during Scorpio, and it's gonna blow up in Sagittarius, and then there's gonna be the retrograde. And that doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think if it's a bad thing, it's stuff that hasn't been resolved. I think that no matter what you see happening externally, because now we're in the last half of the zodiac, which is more social, collective. I think despite all of that, you watching this are going to be going through one of the most liberating periods in your life. You're transforming with the square, how you even communicate socially. And I think even if you lose everything, you might look back at it as one of the best moments ever. So, well,
one of the things that I started my video with this week was being like, look, we have air trines all week. Use them. And when in doubt, communicate. And like, yeah, a lot of air signs are going to be bouncing off the walls and they're not going to be super grounded. But that's why we love you guys. I wish I had some air in my chart. I don't. But
I'm literally just walking down the street, just yakking, just talking to myself.
I would kill for like just one placement. I mean, I have a North Node in Aquarius. I don't have anything in air. I have nothing. No planets. It's all earth and water.
I only have one thing in the air. Then that's my sun.
Okay, well, that's a lot more than what I've got. So that's the boss of your chart.
It made me think like, wow, the sun clearly is powerful because like that. Obviously, it's the biggest thing. Yeah. Like, wow.
But on a personal level, some of you guys are like, okay, great. So the world's going down, but how does it really play out for you guys personally? It's a lot of like, are you going to continue to keep playing the manipulation game with other people? And are you going to play? Are you going to partake? Are you going to hit back? Are you going to fight fire with fire? Are you going to lie? Are you going to manipulate? Are you going to hide things? Are you lying to yourself? Are there things going on that you're not even acknowledging within yourself? Because Libra is a mirror.
Are you surrounded by NPCs? And are you starting to see the Truman Show-esque nature of your reality? You might have been sleeping under the rug. This is going to just smack you in the face. And
man,
be like,
so for you, it's squaring your moon. So it's
and
coming.
Saturn.
So it's coming from your 5th house to your 8th?
Technically, well, 6th to 9th. But it's...
Okay, 6th
to 9th, actually, traditionally. And
okay, but it's all in an opposition to your Mars?
No.
Oh, no.
Mars is 8, but yeah.
Oh, you have 8. Oh, okay. So yeah, not
it's
really.
still an opposition,
6
just
to
not
8.
exactly.
Time for a detox, my friend.
No, that's inevitable.
Time for a detox. Time to really get on that 6-pack, huh?
Oh, yeah. I mean, Libra's my 6th house, too, so I've been working out for 2 weeks now, which...
And I'm going to feed him some Taco Bell later.
Okay, so my diet I haven't been sticking to religiously. I have a fast food diet. It's very unorthodox, but it works. You just stack a lot of fat.
That?
You stack a lot of fat and protein. It's a very unorthodox diet.
So you just don't eat the carbs?
You eat everything.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
It's a very comprehensive diet that consists mostly of fast food meals, but it depends what you get delivered. Not anyone can do this because it's easy to get addicted to the fast food, but like...
Yeah, they put drugs in fast food. That's the conclusion that I've come to. They put drugs in fast food.
Oh,
and occasionally I'll just like take a line of fast food. Don't do drugs, kids. I don't promote drugs on this channel.
Oh, shit.
Yeah, but sometimes you just like need that good, you know?
I mean, I say fast food and you think like McDonald's and Burger King. And, it's really just smart. McDonald's and Burger King.
You don't have one or the other that you prefer?
I mean, I've been digging I've been like testing different Mexican restaurants and seeing who has the best steak fries, or it'll be like a competition, or I'll have like chicken. It depends. Like I like variety.
Okay, so you have to have one fast food meal, and it's like your last meal. What is it?
Oh shit! Because like I just realized Rally's fries exist, and they changed my life.
Really? I haven't had that in like a very long time. They used to have one of those in Glendale.
They even have like a whole cup. Damn.
Welcome to America. We serve you French fries in a cup.
I want to say Sonic just because, but you know what?
That is the most disgusting of all the fast food. Sonic. Really?
I need you to take that back right now.
I mean, I love an ocean water.
The drinks. Yes. Everyone knows Sonic is for the drinks.
And I like their milkshakes, but like
everyone knows Sonic is for the drinks. Food. Okay.
Unless it's like their tater tots.
It's all right. When you have the munchies, you know what I'm saying? It actually kind of tastes pretty good. I mean, it is.
I love fast food so much, but I just don't let myself eat it anymore. I mean, occasionally I'll crack and have pizza, but like, yeah.
It's better than eating actual healthy food that actually, you know.
It's that Taurus rising that you have.
Treats your body and.
Once you get on like the non-processed like food train and like you stay on it, like I feel like
consistency.
Yeah, like when I eventually do venture off and I have like.
Do you want me to leave right now? You know, I have a Gemini mind. What are you talking about?
How long have you gone without feeding fast food? Because I've gone easily maybe 18 months not having any fast food, nothing, making my own meals. Then I remember one time like I think I had like McDonald's or something, and I was like, this tastes like chemicals.
Oh, it is.
Like it straight up tastes like chemicals, and I was like, what the fuck is this? Like you can just, I don't know, there's something.
The processedness of it all. I think I've gone like 2 weeks because my sister made a meal plan for me, and she forced me to like actually do it.
Do it.
I am doing it, but I am doing it. That's the thing. It's just, you know, I'm just having more cheat days than I'm supposed to have. You just need more. I had a cheat week. I turned a cheat day into a cheat week, but like I've done it for like 2 weeks and I lost weight. I just, you know.
That's because sugar and carbs are the devil. That's the conclusion I've come to. Like when I got off sugar, I was like, oh my God, I'm a sugar addict. And then like I'll have one little bit of something and I'll just like fall off. I don't know. I'm like super crazy.
Virgo season taught me a lot of what I do is habitual, because like I'll get food or I'll just like eat and I'm not even hungry. I can't even fully taste it. I feel like if that was my life,
I would just constantly eat nothing but like fish and vegetables. The problem is that I'm always hungry. And I want bad things. I want to make bad decisions all the time.
And I'm just like evil Kermit.
I mean,
I'm not even, you know, it is what it is.
Maybe the Mercury retrograde will help us figure out why the McFlurry machine at McDonald's is always broken.
That's hilarious.
Maybe that's what will happen. I read an article the other day that it was like they were like joking about that, because those of you guys who are probably going through the drive-thru stoned at 2 a.m, you know that on a regular basis their Flurry machine doesn't work.
I don't even order it because I assume
okay, you're sleeping on that like
no
cheeseburger and
I'm saying like
Oreo milkshake.
I don't order it because I assume that it's down.
Right. Okay. Exactly. Thank
I just don't want to be told.
One thing that we agree on.
No, for real.
But I saw something recently that was like about. And I have to find the article, but it was like, oh, like the feds also want to know, like, why is their machine always down? And it was like some like investigation as to like something about the fact that like there's expenses going towards the machine or something, but that the machine never works. And I was laughing because I'm like, that's some.
So it is a conspiracy.
That's some fucking Mercury Pluto square shit, because it's ruled by Venus.
Okay, you just changed my whole life right now. It's a McFlurry conspiracy.
You gotta take the fries and you gotta dip them in the milkshake. Is that like a white thing? Is that a white thing? There's like people on set being like, what? I'm serious. You've never done that?
I mean, I've been curious. I've tried it.
I'm fry curious.
I'm fry curious. I'll put, yeah.
It's all going to the same place. It is.
No, it is. It is. And it's a peculiar taste, too. I'm not going to lie. You know what? I'm not ready for Mercury in Libra. I just realized that.
The square is already happening.
I know.
It's all in opposition to my moon. I've been such a nasty little bitch all day.
Oh, yo, it is opposite.
Yeah, and it's square Pluto. So it's like anybody who crosses me, I feel like I'm just like Gollum. Just like sneaking around the house, just getting nasty.
I love it.
But and if you have planets between, 22 to 27 or 28 of the cardinal signs, this is going to bring something up. Like if you think about Pluto is war, death, transformation, transition, rebirth, and Mercury is information. Likely what's coming up for you is like that you're realizing like, whoa, like I didn't even realize I was at war with the situation in my life. Like it has so much power over me. How can I change? So you want to look to where Aquarius is in your chart for solutions.
And not only that, we just have to remember once again, the last time that this happened, one of the most significant changes to the way you think, not even because of what you personally believe, but like it was an election. So like it doesn't matter what you think, the decision's gonna determine what happens. And this like changed a lot of way or transformed a lot of way everyone thought. So it's gonna happen again, but now we're gonna have all the knowledge. We're gonna have a much more complete understanding of what happened before, what's happening now, and it's gonna be not necessarily a shit show.
Yeah, it will be. It involves Pluto.
But I feel like that would be an understatement as far as it being like a shit coliseum, like a shit movie.
I'm especially
a shit music video.
I'm really interested to see how this affects
choreography,
Biden.
All that.
Having looked at just knowing his
He's
chart.
coming into his debut too.
Biden?
Yeah. Because once the Scorpio season happens, that's his sun sign debut, and then Sag rising is his debut. So that's the best question she asked right now, because now it's all starting to like.
But it's yes, he's a Sag rising. He's a Sag rising, but for Scorpios, it doesn't matter what your sun sign is.
That's still going to be your first
12 signs
house.
away from your fucking sun or your first house.
Oh, Libra.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, it doesn't matter. Like Scorpios.
That's the 12th house. Okay,
Scorpios
you're right.
need to watch the fuck out. Scorpios need to be aware. It doesn't matter what your rising sign is. Look at the 12 signs away from your sun, Libra, and see what's going on with that house.
And his moon is what, Taurus?
I think so.
So yeah, opposition.
And the eclipses. I mean, we'll do a whole thing maybe. We probably should soon, because his horoscope doesn't look so hot for him really going through a lot of challenges. And I think there's just going to be a lower opinion. This isn't my political belief. It's just there's going to be a lower opinion of him. I think that's coming.
Which is perfect. I'm sure he was aware. It's like he's a fall guy or something.
Well, there's some stuff that's already going on, and we're going to get into it in the next podcast. But
a lot's going to come out about him during his administration that he's going to get exposed for, that they don't want to get exposed within the next like 12 months.
Well,
that's not a bad or good
Scorpio.
Thing, but like, yeah, that's going to definitely be interesting.
I don't know. I just feel like I think that there's a lot of opportunity, and I've said this a lot. Like there's a lot of opportunity with the aspects between Mars and Saturn and Mercury and Jupiter, where we're looking to the future. For a lot of people, it's like feeling like they have to rip a Band-Aid off and they don't know how to do it, and it's becoming more challenging to hold on to it. And equally, at the same time, it really allows us to look at relationships and ask ourselves, are we participating in partnerships or relationships that are actually for the best overall? Like, I've been bombarded all week with a lot of clients that I've just noticed this theme, and it's very Mercury Pluto. It's just, like, when is he going to leave his girlfriend? Or, the kind of like heartbroken, kind of like bitter girlfriend that's like, when is it going to end? Or when is he going to come back? Or does he even miss me? Or when is he going to get it? And I sit there and I kind of like, it's hard for me to be neutral, because part of me wants to just be like, listen, that's not the point. The fixation or whatever on their pain or their unhappiness, or when they're going to, apologize, or when they're going to come back, or if they're going to come back, it doesn't really matter. It's the Mercury Pluto. Why do you want to have a relationship with yourself or a relationship with other people where you allow this to have some kind of control over you? And is it really providing a healthy foundation for new relationships when you're constantly rehashing the past? So I think a lot of people are also going to be angry. They're going to want closure. They're going to want to understand, why did that relationship end? Why didn't they tell me the truth? This is the facts. This is what I found. It's like they want that aha moment, like, I got you. Yeah. When in reality, it's not helpful. And it's not going to feel good. You know, just because you're able to have that aha moment and prove that your hunch was right all along, it's the digging and snooping and looking and things that ultimately really may hurt yourself.
And on the note of new relationships, you're going to step into at least 7 of them. And it's going to be, you're going to step into, you know, a lot. But no, at least 7 of them. What am I talking about? At least 7 of them. It's going to be like a new season is
with the sun
you.
Coming into conjunction, you know, next month with Mars and Mercury. I mean, right now Mars is invisible. It's in Libra. We can't see it. And when it's conjunct Mars and Mercury, it's like, all right, you want to wrap your panties in a twist about some stuff, that's fine. But don't act on anything until the 8th or the 9th. That's the advice that I would have. You know, that's when you can go, aha, okay. You know, when there's support with Saturn and there's support with, you know, Mars, then I think we start taking action. But even then, Mercury is retrograde. There will be a cazimi with the sun. So there's still more facts that need to come out before we make decisions. I feel like a lot of people are going to have conflicts, like I said, in relationships, but with bosses, with superiors, with fathers, you know, possibly even issues pertaining to relationships and like who's in charge, you know, who's running the show, who's wearing the pants. And sometimes it's not really about that. It's about not delegating who is going to run the show. It's what do we need to do collectively to work together to create a more harmonious balance. And equally, sometimes that means doing the grown-up thing, going, we've been in a relationship, we really care about each other, we love each other, but we're not being kind to each other. We're not being good to each other. We're no longer having a harmonious relationship. So it's also doing the bigger thing, Jupiter. And I think it's a lot of like dissolving stuff or the beginning process of that.
No, it definitely is, because you have to think that everything we're experiencing now is the end of a collective cycle that started 2010, because next year Jupiter is going to go into Pisces and sweep all this shit away. So this is literally like the second to last chapter, and most importantly, like, you know, we are not only taking this crazy sense of action here in Libra. A lot of what you're going to realize in these intense conversations is that you've had enforced and been dealing with widely commonly held assumptions that are opinions, but they've been lorded as facts. And so you're going to clear all of that. And not only are you going to clear all of that, the key is the North Node in Gemini, because a lot of what's really determining who wears the pants is people's beliefs, and the South Node in Sag is releasing these dumbass stupid beliefs
and being able to see two sides of a situation, or being able to remain
definitely too but for real
and opening
at least
up
open up to not reject it instead of just like but actually hear
something about this. Also makes me feel like there's going to be manipulation of agreements or legally binding things, or manipulation of
and reported data.
Mercury, what the government wants us to know or not know. We're going to see a real strong arm here pretty soon with them going and censoring things and shutting things down. That's been a theme all year, but you're really going to start to see what they don't want getting out, and they're going to claim is not factual. But I really think it's a lot of like legal stuff that people need to watch out for, and you know what is being passed legally, or legal loopholes, or things that people are doing that is technically legal, but it's not ethical, to bypass certain regulations to be able to get things through. Because Mercury is going to be in a Venus sign, we're definitely going to see more of a ramping up of stuff pertaining to our court and our legal and our justice system, and you know, whether we're upholding certain laws still, or if we're changing things, and if things are changing because of government force, or because, you know, they're they're really coming down. I think of this retrograde being in America's 10th house, and it's the square to, Pluto in the second. It's, are we going back to work? What's our relationship with other people? How are we getting jobs back out there? And the reality is that I believe we're about to have large numbers of people who are unemployed. It may be something that's going to take a period of time for that really to kind of sink in at the end of the year, but there are tons of people who are now off of unemployment who are supposed to go back to work, but many of those jobs are no longer there.
Damn.
So we'll see situations that pan out, November, December, January, where those jobs are gone as a result of the pandemic. Now we've got people who are more predisposed to, fall into participating in cybercrime, theft,
a lot of
stealing.
cybercrime.
A lot of people who are getting married to people because they want financial security, and then realizing that spouses have an ulterior motive, or that you find out
citizenship.
Yeah, just there's gonna be some stuff that's gonna be super shady legally going on, and it makes me wonder what's gonna happen with this whole women's health stuff, especially when you're dealing with Pluto. Hades is about death and rebirth, and the government control revolving around resources, and Mercury in Libra is women talking about their health or their bodies. So it's more of this is coming, and I think you're going to see, because Mercury is documents, more pushback revolving around whether or not the vaccine mandates can stick, and if we need vaccine passports, and if we need a document. It's going to get super, super wild. And I guess with that being said, I just encourage you guys to just be aware of the bigger purpose of what's going on, and how you can work with Jupiter and stay informed and stay connected and stay, in communication with other people who can provide assistance or can provide some kind of insight. This is also very global. And we start looking at, what's going on, and being aware of what's happening in Australia, what's happening in France, what's happening in Asia, what's happening in all of these other countries that, Mercury's our media. A lot of these things we're not seeing, and that's a whole other video, but I'm super spooked about that. I mean, I get people who send me videos all the time. It's are you seeing what's happening in other places of the world? The reality is, big corporation owns our media. It's very filtered. We see a very select number of headlines, and it's all about award seasons right now, controlled. Or sports, or this, that, or the other, a hurricane. Not that these things aren't important or they're not real, but it makes me wonder.
It's just directing what you're ingesting, and without doing any extra research.
Right.
And to speak on the square, I think you want to remember cardinal signs are actions. Mercury retrograde is literally re-evaluating how you communicate socially, and all the actions that are being empowered, generated in Libra that you're bridging is going to go into Scorpio and then bridge with that square. So it's all going to reach an intense climax point. And that's what you want to think about every decision you make, which is going to literally turn the tide. Remember, the last time this happened, people were making a decision that defined their character. I'm voting this way. I'm voting that way. So this is going to be a return to that.
Watch your words. Watch how you use your words. Wield them wisely. Be mindful that
people will be offended
from
everything that you say.
But also, a lot of what can be said can be used against you.
That's so true.
Right? And so it's also thinking about that
That's very true.
I see Libra can be a very gossipy sign. So I could see Mercury square Pluto as information you got, and you play the telephone game and you share it with other people, and then how it kind of comes back around.
Or
and
snitching on yourself.
Yeah. Orange candles, temple incense, and Mercury herbs. I like to burn orange candles with Mercury symbol on it. I like to put dill and lavender and other things that are going to enhance communication. I like to leave Mercury shots of whiskey and pennies and chocolate and keys and anything that's just going to help kind of smooth that over and create clear communication. The retrograde's happening to help us unearth things that need to be spoken about, so that way we are able to deal with some of these more kind of Plutonian themes in our life, and realizing where we are being manipulated and possibly even brainwashed.
completely brainwashed. Not possibly. I love that you said possibly, because that's true, but it's at a complete and advanced level now. And all I have to say in conclusion is, if you have any differences with people, don't settle it. Confront them. Not so that you can have peace. Confront them, whether you want to resolve it or not. I mean, if it's in a position that you're blocked and you can't, let that go. But like, not for peace, but don't let it just be stagnant. You have to at least like acknowledge it, either make peace with it or just be like, okay, that's how it is. You want to do that. Boom.
All right, guys. Well, hopefully that was helpful. Make sure you like, comment, hit that bell button, stay subscribed. Let us know how this particular Mercury retrograde is panning out for you. Feel free to come back to this video, check it out throughout the retrograde. It'll be about 3.5 weeks total. We'd love to hear how it played out for you and how much of this resonates with what you are dealing with. You can also book a reading with myself or with Mike if you check out our links below. We are happy to see you to help give you insight on your Mercury retrograde drama. Until next time, we will see all of you guys very soon.
Peace.